town, and I live in a small town.
Welcome everybody. My name is Bruce Farrar. I'm 37 years old. I know I'm probably younger than many of you have known Tim, but I run a gym here in town, Brazilian CrossFit, Brazilian Fitness, and we would not be here today as successful as we are without this man Tim. And I'm very happy to call him a friend and mentor. And I am now president of the Chamber of Commerce. And so I have the distinguished honor of leading the charge here tonight. And thank you for everybody for being here. This is pretty cool. And Tim, I hope you've looked around a little bit and seen all the eyes and faces here. It's a pretty special evening. And again, thank you everybody for coming. And we'd like to thank a few other people before we get going here. Thank you, of course, to our host at HCA, the Hopkinton Center for the Arts, and to put this on here tonight. Thank you to some of our key sponsors for the evening, the 26.2 Foundation, GRLA, Webster 5. I believe you've got some other program sponsors there, other programs on your tables and looking around, so please thank everybody there as well. We've got some, everybody's special, don't get me wrong, but we've got some special guests here tonight to come celebrate Tim here this evening. Senate President Tim Kilduff, State Representative Maria Carosa, from the BAA Joanne Ominio, Hopkinton Select Board members, and all of our members from the Chamber of Commerce and Town of Hopkinton, and so many more here to recognize this momentous occasion here for you today. I want to start off with a quote I gathered just earlier this evening from somebody who knows me well. And they said, and I can tell you who said it, but they said, every town and every generation should wish they had a Tim Kilduff. Thank you. Thankful that Hopkinton had one for so long in Sim. It sets the tone for the evening, I thought, wow. I came up later, I had a little speech there, but that just kind of sets the tone really well right there. Ultimately, I have a whole story. I've only known him for 12, 13 years now. Long story short, we met at the Golden Spoon way back when I walked right out. I didn't think we were in the right space before it turned into what it is now. But we sat down and just totally knew that this was the guy to know in town when we started our business here. He was just so giving of information, and you gotta meet this person will do this for you here and there, and man, did we just know that we had the right person to help us start and thrive. And so happy to say that we've had our, progressing every year, gotten better and better every year, and this year had our best year, as well as opened a second location. And again, it all started by, choosing Hopkinton on behalf of Tim's recommendation, really, one day. So I'm certainly grateful, again, for your friendship over the years and mentorship. I found, and certainly getting to this position now with an involvement with the Chamber. Thank you for everything you've done for me, but also all these people here. So, the Chamber of Commerce is very honored to have this opportunity to celebrate all the accomplishments of Tim Kilduff's tenure as our Executive Director. 30 plus years. During that time, Tim was responsible for initiating so many of the programs that are in place today. There's an extensive list in your program, but here are just a few highlights. The annual State of the Town, the Citizen and or Business of the Year, the annual visit of Kennedy runners to the Hopkins School, the Spotters Network, the First Responders Breakfast, the Gateway Green Project, welcoming people to town for marathon, but anybody who comes to town. And countless other marathon-related celebrations. We could go on and on about Tim's accomplishments, but we thought it would be nice to hear directly from those who know him best. So, some who have known him from the beginning.
Hey Duff, it's Loby. Remember the president of your local chapter fraternity, the purple and white? So here's the deal, Duff. I can't believe that all these people showed up to honor you. So when I read about all the accomplishments and all you've done for Hopkinton as the de facto mayor of this historic town, and all the roles you played as the marathon spotters network and being on the truck, and the irony was not lost to me, basically, as the anchor of our coverage on Channel 4, when I would throw to the truck and talk to Tim Kilduff about what's going on in the race, and you'd make something up about, I'm not sure you ever saw it, but you'd make it up and it sounded really good, and such and such has the lead, and they Loby, they look like they're getting tired. How would you know? But that's all right, you sold it, and that's what television was all about, and you were great. But the irony was not lost on me that you and I had been at Kent State, you and I had been in the same fraternity, our wives were in the same sorority, and I'm here back in Boston, covering the Boston Marathon and doing the telecast and throwing to you as a reporter. I mean, think about it. I mean, what are the odds on that? But you were great. The Spotters Network with you and Fred Tressler, what you guys put together gave us an enormous advantage in coverage because, one time all 3 stations covered the Boston Marathon, and then it was us, and then it was Channel 5, and, it's like the 4th of July in Boston. The Boston Marathon is, to me, it was my favorite event of all time in covering it. But it's the signature event that defines Boston and makes what Boston is. That and the 4th of July are the 2 main events that I think make Boston, Boston. It certainly distinguishes us from other communities. We're in the colors of the fraternity, talking about our wives. I should be talking about you because you're the one that's being honored. And the reality is that I've never met anyone as giving and as understanding and as faithful to a cause as you have been. I think it's appreciated by the town of Hopkinton. I know it's appreciated by Hopkinton. They wouldn't come out here today and waste a day of their time to honor you. So that, in a way, it's its own appreciation. But you deserve it, and they deserve to know a little bit about what happened and who was Tim Kilduff before he got to this particular moment in time. And then the whole Archon president thing, that's crazy. But here you are. I'm really proud of you. And I'm really thrilled that I had this opportunity to ramble on about our relationship and how I feel about you. Congratulations.
I'm grateful for this opportunity to acknowledge someone whose contributions to Hopkinton and to my success as a father, as a town manager, and as a friend. His name is Tim Kilduff. For over 30 years, Tim, you've dedicated yourself to the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce. I spent 15 of those 13 years working alongside you. For those 15 years, I can say without any doubt that Tim's contribution has been extraordinary. Under Tim's leadership, the Chamber of Commerce became a vital player in Hopkinton's growth, progress, and celebrations. whether it was about identifying a new economic opportunity or bringing in a new business partner to Community Hopkinton, or simply sitting down and strategizing about the vision of Hopkinton, Tim always played a key role. For the most part, you would never see Tim, but rest assured, he was there in the background.
I first was introduced to Tim and his methods on a snowy February Downtown Revitalization Committee meeting. As I recall, we were looking for activities for the downtown. Because it was snowy, nobody else showed up, so Tim had the floor. As a runner, I was interested in his concept that folks came to Hopkinton, walked around Hopkinton, and there was not much to do right before the Boston Marathon. From that, we came up with the idea of a marathon exhibit. And I learned how Tim worked. He talked somebody, I think Tim Carey, into providing space. He talked Bob Dubinsky into providing materials, and he talked me into collecting the materials that ultimately were put together to make that exhibit. It all came together, as Tim's projects often do. And in hindsight, while it was amazingly stressful, it was satisfying in the end. And as usual for a Tim project, it provided a benefit to the town, filling a void that others didn't even see existed. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim, for your long tenure with the Chamber of Commerce and for your partnership with the town of Hopkinton all these years. Really appreciated working with you, and best wishes for the future. Thank you.
Tim is a legend for our town. I am a big fan of what he does, his passion, his energy, his dedication for marathon, for our town. He's a great advocate for Hopkinton and a great example of community service, community leadership. We are so proud to have him in our town and in our community. I am so proud and lucky to have him in my life and have him as a friend. I certainly wish him all the best and nothing but the best for his next venture. I know he will be relentless in anything and everything he does, and I look forward to seeing him continue to do his great work.
On a personal level, how much I appreciate all that you've done for me, for my family, for our business. Gonna miss your guidance and certainly your counsel. The biggest thing that I would take away has been your friendship and how much I appreciated having you as a friend. So thank you for all that you've done. I hope that you have a wonderful time pursuing the shovel in the ground at the new International Marathon Center, and I will look forward to seeing you soon, my friend. Take care.
I'm really excited to do this afternoon. I'm glad everybody's here at the HCA this evening to celebrate Tim's help and work on behalf of the town of Hopkinton for so many years. I think it's been about 30 years. I was here just 2 years ago, I think it was, and we had a nice video done based on the marathon. It was a marathon kickoff party, and Tim and others had put together a video to the song by Kenny Chesney, Back Where I Come From. And it was a really nice song, and the video was all the different pictures and sights and sounds of Hopkinton. And as I watched the video, I was thinking to myself, and I got a little tear in my eye, this is a beautiful video put together by Tim, again, doing something fabulous for the town. But every project in the video was something that Tim had his finger on. Somehow, some way, Tim was involved. Usually he's in back, he's behind the scenes, not always out front, but behind the scenes making things happen on behalf of Hopkinton. So I'm glad that I can say hello this evening and give you the best, Tim. This is not goodbye. We got things to do on the east side of town, and I'm really excited to work with you on that project too. But I know you've done an awful lot for this town, and we're going to miss you at the Chamber, but we're going to definitely see you around. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations, Tim. Thank you.
small town. Probably die in a small town. All those small communities. And all my friends are so small town. My parents live in the same small town. My job is so small town, provides little opportunities. Educated in a small town, and taught to fear Jesus in a small town. Used to daydream in that small town, another born of romance, that's me. But I've seen it all in a small town, had myself a ball in a small town. Met an LA dog running to this small town. She's small town, just like me. Yeah, and I cannot forget where it is that I come from. Can't forget the people who love me. I can be myself here in this small town. People let me be just what I wanna be. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Got nothing against the big town. Still hazy enough to save the fools in the big town. But my bed is in a small town. Oh, that's good enough for me. Well, I was born in a small town, and I can breathe in a small town. Gonna die in a small town. Well, that's probably where they bury me. Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I had heard that when Kent State got in touch with him, his alma mater, and wanted to induct him into their Hall of Fame, he responded, "Do you have the right guy?" And they assured him that they did. And despite what he might say about tonight's event, I ask you, people, do we have the right guy? Yeah. So when I first moved to Hopkinton, I was pretty busy raising our young family and didn't get too involved with local activities until the mid-90s. And the name that came up quite a bit, as Brooks has mentioned and others have mentioned, was Tim Kilduff. When I joined the chamber, there was Tim. When we were charged with recognizing local people, volunteers, and so on, there was Tim making the right suggestions and recommendation. When there was any Boston Marathon related activity, events, coordination, there was Tim. When we had to make any kind of presentation to the select board or really any other entity in town, at the town hall, there was Tim. And some of you know the list goes on and on. Tim was the key factor to get the Boston Marathon reinvigorated in the mid-1980s, was the race director in 83, 84, and the race announcer for the men's race for many years. And as Bob LaBelle pointed out, he really wasn't telling things really that were happening, but it was entertaining to watch him, of course. His involvement in all things related to the Boston Marathon really cannot be understated. And yes, Tim and I are pretty old, but despite what some people might think, we were not there in 490 BC when Philippides made that first marathon run to Athens to proclaim, "Rejoice, we conquer," and drop dead. But when Tim tells that story, you kind of feel that you're there. And when he tells that moving story of Greek runner Stylianos Kyriakides winning the 1946 Boston Marathon with the sole intent of bringing food and money back to war-torn Greece, again, you feel that you were there. So I have a question for all of you here. I won't be able to see, but I want to have you raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you have ever worked with Tim on a project, a fundraiser, any marathon activity. Okay, so there's maybe 5 people that didn't raise their hands, maybe 6. So I say to you that you can still have that privilege. Just see Tim after this meeting and he'll sign you up for something, believe me. Working with him over the decades on various Hopkinton activities, chamber projects, marathon-related projects, he is always caring and thoughtful and strategic in his approach to problem solving, evaluation. And we all know that when we're at a table and all of a sudden Tim gets up and he starts pacing in the room. We've all seen this. Well, then we got to watch out because things are really going to happen then. So I'm saying, due to his tireless work, I would suggest that without Tim, there would be no 26.2 Foundation. Without Tim, there would be no Stylianos Kyriakides statue near Western Nurseries. Without Tim, there would be no George V. Brown statue on the Common. There would be no Hoyt statue at Center School. There would be no soon-to-come Bobby Gibbs statue at the corner of Main and Hayden Road. We would not be sister cities with Marathon Greece or Xiamen China. We would have no Athens, Greece Marathon Eternal Flame installed at the police station. We would not have had that spectacular 2500th marathon celebration in 2010. And there would be no soon-to-come International Marathon Center. And there probably would not be even a Chamber of Commerce. So, I'm sure a lot of you could add to this list of things that would not have happened without Tim. I believe that the legacy of Tim Kilduff, as you've heard previously, and as I'm kind of going on about, and when I talk about legacy, I'm not talking about financial aspects, but rather the sincerity, integrity, and inspiration that Tim shares with all of us on everything that he does, which I believe is really the best kind of legacy that one can have. It has been and continues to be a privilege to know Tim and work with him to make things happen that are important and long-lasting. And besides, he's a really good guy and a great friend. So let's say thanks to Tim and his service. So thank you, Tim. And I think Jack Fleming is not feeling well this evening, so he's not here, but we have Joanne Flaminio and Peter Brown from the BAA here.
I'm going to start?
Go.
Well, as you can see, it took 2 of us to replace Jack. Jack is everywhere, always, at every time in the city relating to the marathon, but he truly was not feeling well. So Peter and I, both members of the BAA Board of Governors, are here to replace him, and hopefully we'll do a halfway decent job.
So I think it's exciting because we're here tonight to announce something really, really big. 1985 was the first time Tim ran the Boston Marathon. How many years ago was that, Brooks? 40 years ago.
That's it.
Tim tonight is announcing that he is running in this year's Boston Marathon, and that's why he's stepping down from the chamber.
Peter, we can get you in if you want.
Everyone in this room, Tim, has signed up to coach you in various hours of the morning to get you out on the road. So tell us your good story with Tim.
So they asked me for a reflection about Tim Kilduff, and mine too revolves around, of course, the marathon, and in particular, Athens, Greece. From 2010 to 2017, I was president of the BAA, and of course it involved the marathon bombing. Somehow in October 2013 of that year, Tim picked me to go along with him and some others to Athens, and where I could bear witness to the Athens Classic Marathon. And it's an experience that I will never, ever forget. And I want to thank you for that, because at the time, as all of you know who have experienced that same year along with me living in Massachusetts, I wasn't in the very best place. But standing there at the start of the Athens Classic Marathon with Tim on one side, and very interesting to watch the Greeks put anything together, as I can tell you a little bit more about that. But what it taught me was that two things. That the marathon spirit was worldwide, even bigger than what had transpired in Boston in April of that year, and also just the transformative power of our sport, the fact that we would get over all of this, which of course I did and we all did. So I guess most of all, I just want to offer you two things. I want to recognize your dedication and your spirit and your hard work and your perseverance on all things marathon related, and also for taking this young woman at the time, well, sort of middle-aged woman with you on that trip, because it helped to restore my spirit, and I thank you for that, and I will never forget it. Peter.
Yeah, so I want to put a little historical perspective on the low bell comments at the beginning. So I actually had the privilege of producing I was the news director at Channel 4. I had the privilege of producing the event for 22 years. I had dark hair, just like Tim did in those pictures. And in 1986, the news director at the time came to me as the producer and said, two guys have walked into my office with this idea. And the two guys were the elite businessman, Tim Kilduff, and the extraordinary trainer and coach, Fred Tressler. I believe he's here tonight. Fred, can you stand? Real recognized? We're two peas in a pod. Right? Tim was the, how are we going to make all this work business-wise? And Tim had that nervous energy we all might love about Tim when he gets himself excited. And Fred was like the stoic, I know where exactly I'm going, I'm the coach. Tim was the guy, in fact, who was in the back of the truck. And why did we pick him as opposed to a trained broadcaster? Because of his passion. Because of the pulse that he brought to every broadcast we did. And Tim, you added everything every time you opened your mouth. Forget about what Lobel said. I loved having you there, and you were there every year that I got a chance to produce it. And that was a gift. And the last thing I want to say is, if Jack were here tonight, Jack Fleming were here tonight, he would talk about the BAA doesn't put on the marathon without partners. They don't do it alone. Rich Brothers can talk about that. Morna Campbell, who is here tonight, can talk about that. Dave McGilvery, who is here tonight, can certainly talk about that. And if there's one key partner the BAA has had throughout the years, and I mean capital P-A-R-T-N-E-R, it's Tim Kilduff. We couldn't do this without you, your heart, your soul, and your spirit, and we love you.
In recognition of your 30 years with the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce, your dedication to the Boston Marathon, your presidency of the 26.2 Marathon Foundation, and everything else Hopkinton Athletic Association related, we want to present you with this from the BAA in recognition of your service. Thank you so much.
It all starts here, huh?
And now we'd like to introduce State Senator Karen Spilker, the President of the Massachusetts State Senate. Welcome.
I'd like to invite Representative James Arena DeRosa up to help with part of this presentation. But I do want to start out by saying, Tim, you know that probably everybody here is relishing this reverse role here. You know, we know that you're almost squirming probably in your seat, but it's time for us to honor you tonight as well. So we're very happy to do that. I would like to let James Arena DeRosa read a statement from the Greek Consul General.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Delighted to be here. And was so proud last night, if anyone was watching, that our state senator presided over the joint session of the legislature for the governor's state of the Commonwealth. I was asked to read this note from the Consul General, who unfortunately could not be with us tonight. It kind of fits with how I think of Tim. We've only known each other a few years, and I'm thinking of all the things to come that we're going to work on together, from moving the statue of the foundation and other things as well. You're all honoring him for his amazing work the last many, many years. So this is from the Consul General. One of the first people I met when I assumed my duties as Consul General of Greece in Boston was Tim Kilduff. I have to tell you, at first I thought he was a Greek American, since he had all the dynamism and characteristics that I really admire and appreciate in our incredible communities here in New England. Tim was kind enough to introduce me to the importance of the Boston Marathon and its starting point, your amazing home, Hopkinton. And he has a passion about both. Like a good Greek, he cannot stop trying to achieve multiple goals, working hard, fighting many fights at the same time, but mostly doing it with the spirit and dignity of a marathoner. Don't misunderstand me, he's not Greek yet. But the vision of his 26.2 foundation and the possibility of an international marathon center here in this town of Hopkinton is a vision that can definitely bring marathon in Greece closer to all of you. And therefore, it's a vision worth exploring and supporting. Every end is a new beginning. Tim, thank you, and congratulations. Simeon Tigos, Consul General of Greece in Boston.
We have legislative citations for Tim. I don't know if you want to come up at this point for the citations.
Stand up.
Can't get away that easy. So we have both a Senate citation and a House citation. So this one, they're fairly similar, so we'll spare you both. It's an official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Tim Kilduff in recognition of your many years of service leading the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce and your great impact on businesses and the entire community. And be it known further that the Mass Senate extends best wishes for continued success. And this is, citation is entered into this record of the Senate and signed by me as your state senator and by me as Senate President. Congratulations, and with the love.
As the Senate President mentioned, this one's very similar. I won't read it, but it's signed by the Speaker of the House and myself as your state representative. I think we want to get a picture of the three of us, and then Karen has more remarks about Tim.
So, you know, you hear a lot of the same themes with speaker after speaker. I want to thank everybody for being here. I won't repeat everybody, but I do want to thank Steve and Brad for their great music and for being in. When I was first elected as state senator in 2005, it blows me away, it's been 20 years. And this is, I feel like I'm repeating what other people have said when I first came to Hopkinton, when I first opened a business, when I first did this. One of the first persons I met was Tim Kilduff. He was one of the first people from Hopkinton to call me, to welcome me to this great community. And I have to say that his generosity of spirit, his kindnesses were evident, and his willingness to extend himself. And you've heard other people say this, and this is who Tim Kilduff is. He introduced me to the people and places that make this community of Hopkinton special. And he went so far to help organize a dinner for me to meet and hear from the people of Hopkinton. If you remember Maria's Restaurant, that was on 135 before they moved to South Street. So it was a great opportunity for me. That was the beginning of a working relationship that has lasted decades. And still, to this day, Tim is one of the first persons I call when I need advice, not only for Hopkinton, but for Metro West and in general, just really level-headed, practical, smart, honest advice. He has offered his counsel on this community's needs, wants, and dreams with the passion of someone who loves what they do and where they live. And he wakes up every day wanting to help and foster a vibrant community here for today's residents and thinking ahead of the next generation as well. Of course, we all know Tim's leadership to ensure that Hopkinton gets the credit that it deserves as the start of one of the most famous marathons in the entire world. And we know that Tim has worked tirelessly to make Hopkinton synonymous with the Boston Marathon as race director and in so many other roles, 26.2 Foundation, the planning on the marathon, and the vision for all of the statues that are around Hopkinton that not only symbolize all that the marathon stands for, but with a mind, this creates some tourism and economic prosperity and revenue for Hopkinton. Again, the business aspect that really combines with travel and tourism and the role that Hopkinton has played in the marathon. It all starts here, right here in Hopkinton, and he wants the world to know that. He is a terrific ambassador for the marathon and for all that it stands for. He brought our counterparts from Greece to our community, and he brought many of us to Greece. And he brought the Olympic torch to Massachusetts. I remember when Spiros Agaris came here with the flame of the marathon run. We still laugh about when Spiros brought the flame behind Mayor Menino, who was on stage speaking, and failed to recognize the flame that was so important to be there. But Spiros stood there and really made a point of making sure that people knew that the flame and the spirit of the marathon was here, not only in Hopkinton, but in Boston as well. And I remember Dimitri Kyriakides so well as well. In fact, I saw him just this past June, and with his father, statues that is near the Western Nurseries, and all that statue and that man stood for, and the story behind, so inspirational. And again, Tim and telling the story with passion, because this is what he believes in. And the marathons show us the power of resilience, persistence, believing in yourself and believing in a greater cause. And, persistence in the face of adversity, the rewards of working hard and grit and stick-to-itness, and with that first step, the fulfillment of collaboration and teamwork. And all of that, it makes so much sense that Tim has spent so much time on the marathon, because that's what I believe you stand for as well, Tim. And so I thank you for that, what you bring. Your leadership of all your work here in the community, with the marathon, with the business association, is really synonymous with all of those values. And I want to thank you, and we are much better for all of that. Marathons also bring us together for milestones. And I could not be more grateful to celebrate this milestone with you. Thank you for your decades of collaboration, friendship. Oh, I failed to mention coming to the State House with the whole Greek community in celebration of the marathon for many years. We did that together, and there's so many more stories. The more you think about it, the more the collaborations that I think probably each one of us remember of working with Tim. So I want to thank you for all you have done for this great community, and I'd like to invite you up because of your work and your assistance, as I said, not only for Hopkinton and Metro West, but when I need advice for state as well. Tim has been there, he's been at the State House and been really helpful. So I have a picture of the State House. And I want to thank you.
So good evening. My name is Kelly Grill. I am a proud member of the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce, and like everyone here in the room, a friend of Tim. And when we started to work on this evening, so many themes kept coming up, but one theme that came up that struck us was how involved Tim was and how passionate he was about programs that had to do with the youth. He wanted to make sure that he was bringing the inspiration of the marathon, the programs, and so much of the hope and the strength of what the 26.2 Foundation stands for and the possibilities for our young people. It came up over and over and over again. So I'm going to let some of those people talk about those programs that Tim put together and also introduce some of our youth, the members of the HCA Junior Troublemakers.
Hey Tim, it's Meb here. Congratulations on your 30 years of service at the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce. You have made such a great relationship with the athlete, with the town, and Hopkinton is pretty special. The Boston Marathon would be Boston Marathon without Hopkintons, and you have delighted to take that role to be able to show people around it. Even went to the middle school, talked to the kids, and then also take me some famous restaurants in Hopkinton. So I am also grateful for your friendship and the camaraderie that we have built over the years. You and the team from the Chamber of Commerce were able to make me honorary citizen of Hopkinton. So that was pretty exciting for me. It was a lot of fun. As you transition to the 26.2 Foundation and International Marathon, I know you're going to do a fabulous job as you have done, but also maintaining a great family relationship, and so grateful for you and all the opportunities that you have provided for me and others, and the impact that you have left behind. Best wishes and good luck, and more importantly, congratulations.
And I remember learning pretty quickly that whenever you would reach out about an idea or a project, it was usually just a good idea to say yes. You brought so much of the world into the schools through the vehicle of the marathon. It really was incredible, from things like the reading marathon and the Kenyan Runner Day and the Desire to Inspire program, the Spotters Network, so many programs that supported professional development for our teachers and education for our students, and really took advantage of so many different people and cultures coming to Hopkinton for the marathon. But you really took that and brought the richness of that into the schools. And so I really always was struck by that and really appreciated that very much, I think.
Congratulations, Tim, as you step away from the Chamber of Commerce and focus on other things in Hopkinton. In the public schools, we have always been grateful for your partnership, and I personally appreciate you very much. Best wishes.
But Tim's concern for the well-being and development of young people, what they're learning, the investment in their futures, has always been what struck me the most about Tim. He has been able, in my mind, to draw a line between ancient Greece, the modern Olympic Games, which began in 1896, the first Boston Marathon, right down to Central Hopkinton, and what happens here to students and what civic life they experience. And it's really been amazing. It's been a pleasure of mine to work with Tim.
The time has come, the Chamber said, to talk of things, all things Tim, of marathons and building plans, of good ideas. That's him. He's marketed our little town from Greece to Boston's rim, created partnerships step by step, encouraging with a grin. Now turns his focus to an awesome goal, a marathon museum. The IMC will be a win. It all starts with Tim. Thanks, Tim.
That is a tough act to follow. Another round of applause for the junior troublemakers. Good evening, everyone. I am Christina Morrissey from Webster 5, and I also serve the Hopkinton Chamber as past president. Today you've heard a lot, and we gather here to celebrate and honor a true pillar of our community. Someone whose impact over the last 30+ years has been nothing short than transformative. Tim, you have dedicated a significant portion of your life to the Hopkinton community. Your leadership as the Executive Director of the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce has touched countless lives and helped shape the vibrant, thriving community that we know today. For most of you, Tim's work has been far more than a job. It's been a calling. His vision, passion, and commitment have helped build bridges between the town and the Hopkinton businesses. It's fostered growth and created lasting connections, whether it was advocating for local businesses, organizing events for us to get together, or simply listening and offering guidance. Tim's heart has always been for the people of Hopkinton. As Tim concludes his term as Executive Director of the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce, he now is ready to dedicate his time, energy, and passion on the new chapter with the 26.2 Foundation and the International Marathon Center. His commitment to Hopkinton remains strong, and we know that his leadership will continue to have a profound effect in these new endeavors, further connecting our community to the rich history and future of marathoning. While we miss him at the Hopkinton Chamber, we are excited to see Tim continue his journey with the International Marathon Center, bringing his deep passion and experience to a cause that's so dear to all of us. Tim, if you would please join me on stage with Brooks. Tim, on behalf of the Hopkinton community, we thank you. Thank you for your decades of leadership, your vision, and for your unwavering dedication to our town. Your legacy is one of connection, growth, and above all, heart. We wish you all the best in your next chapter. Congratulations, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Just rip that.
Normally I have a fair amount to say on any subject that you'd like to talk about, but I'm a little overwhelmed. This evening is absolutely, in my mind, unnecessary. On the other hand, very much appreciated. You have to put these kind of things in context with what's going on in one's life, what's going on in the world, what's going on in the United States, and to take a few moments to just think about what's transpired since Kathy and I moved to Hopkinton. We raised our 3 children here. We've had to deal with adversity, some challenges, some difficulties, and all of that is really important. I never. You look at the work that's been done in the chamber, and let me tell you a little secret about those of you who are not members of this organization. This is not a huge organization, 125 members, but its influence in Hopkinton far exceeds the size of the organization. And I can tell you what the secret is. Don't tell the politicians this, but the secret is back channel work. The people, the chamber has always benefited by a board of directors made up of really quality human beings, quality individuals. One of the other secrets is that most lived here and or worked here, ran a business here. But the back channel work that the chamber's done has had a substantial impact on the community. It's also got to a point a year or so ago, and Scott Richardson and others, we talk about this all the time. There's a natural need to turn things over. And I can tell you that the board of directors of the chamber now, made up of in part new residents, relatively new residents, but sort of a younger, vibrant group of people that are really committed, that are raising their families here, puts this organization in good stead. I have no doubt about that. This is all very pleasant, but I can tell you, just by being vulnerable for a minute, we're involved in a project to build an institution that has potential for global outreach. But we're not in charge of the timing. So good ideas take time to percolate, so to speak. But I want to just share with you one vision that I have for the community. And it's not just mine, it's what I've learned from others. Just think for a moment what it will be like when we formulate and pull together the resources of the Hopkins Center for the Arts, the Metro West YMCA, the 26.2 Foundation, and develop an international marathon center. Think about the resources that those organizations already represent. But we're talking about building something in Hopkinton that has a global reach. It has a direct connection to yes, the Boston Marathon. And I would add to that group of the Hopkins Center for the Arts, the 26.2 Foundation, and the YMCA. I would add the BAA. If you hadn't paid any attention, look at 1 Ash Street and see what's happening in that building. The BAA is investing in Hopkinton. People get tired of me talking about Hopkinton being the start of the marathon, that sort of thing, and we joke a lot about it. But the power and influence that the BAA now brings and formalizes by having put resources into the community, puts our marathon footprint in a much different place. There is no other place in the world, no other major marathon that has a facility overlooking the start of their race. Nowhere in the world. There is no other community the size and scope of Hopkinton that has the kind of relationship that Hopkinton does with the Boston Athletic Association. We forget that. If you look at what transpires in terms of our history, not with just a marathon, but I recently listened very intently to a presentation made by Chuck Joseph not long ago, who's really delved into the history of Hopkinton. The connections, the depth, the breadth of what this community represents Chuck touched a little bit about indigenous peoples in Hopkinton and the history there. This coming Sunday, the BAA is hosting a meeting in this building, actually, of tribes, representatives from tribes throughout the region. They understand the importance and the connection back to history to encourage indigenous runners and participation in the marathon. Now, that's a part of Hopkinton now. There is no separation here. Going back to people like the Brown family and Walter, and you hear all those histories, the connection that the Brown family had with the Celtics and the Bruins and the marathon. My gosh, just take it. Sometimes we forget to take a little time to just step back, breathe a little, and respect that. So I'll do that about what I heard tonight. But I got to tell you, it's a source of inspiration, because we do want to bring something to this community, to this region, to this state, that will put us in a position to make connections globally. There's a lot of nif-naf going on the last couple of days. I hope you didn't spend a lot of time listening to the Senate hearings on Trump's cabinet. But there is such turmoil and such upheaval and such concern that we're dealing with. I would argue the platform to do something about that already exists. And it goes back to 490 BC and the Battle of Marathon and the first Olympic marathon, blah, blah, blah. We overlooked that. But now we've got a chance to do something. I believe that partnership that I just outlined is Hopkinton's economic future, without a doubt. Sure, we're going to compete with others to fill South Street and so forth, but Hopkinton's economic future is going to be built around community partnerships. Think about what Center School will be like in a few years when that's devoted to arts and culture. Think about what Hopkinton is going to be like in a few years when we have a cultural district supported by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I believe that's Hopkinton's economic future. I hope you'll agree. And the one thing we can do together, starting next week, is to do whatever we can, as loud as we can, to support the work being done to build this International Marathon Center. Modest $30 million facility, but it's not meant to be a small room with 25 pairs of Johnny Kelly's running shoes. It is meant to be a source of connection globally. So I really am more than touched. I guess I don't know how to quite say it. I don't think it's necessarily warranted, but it's appreciated. So I'm thankful for all of you for spending some time this evening with us, with me, on behalf of my family. Kathy Christie's here from North Carolina. Kim, our son Ryan is now a first responder in Colorado. We're thankful for the opportunity to have lived here, to participate, to be a participant in what is a unique, quality, first-rate community. So thank you very much.
I'll just leave you with one thought. And Tim, you certainly lived this. Actions express priority. That's a quote, I'm not sure who said it. But your love and passion for this town is one thing to talk about, but to truly act it out and make things happen the way you've done, you've made Hopkinton a priority, and we thank you for it. This concludes this portion of tonight. Feel free to hang out as long as you'd like, until they shut us off. But thank you all for coming again. This was awesome.